So Nick from the MSUK RC Car Forum asked me if I would be up for a question and answer video where some of the members asked me some questions. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So Stimpy says, what's the fastest you've clocked an RC car at and the Lambo on a private road, of course. So speedrun wise with RC cars, I'm fairly new to the world of RC speedruns, but the fastest I've gone is with the Traxxas X01 at 98 mile an hour into Martin's Foot. Lambo was 70 on private road, of course. In one word, what would you consider to be the best attribute for success? Persistence. What are you going to name the monster truck when you've built it? So I was going to call it the Hooligan, but then somebody beat me to it. Then I thought I'd call it an Offender and fit a Land Rover Defender body to it, but it just won't fit. This is way too big. So now, the name that I've got in my head at the moment is to call it Game Over. If anybody's got any better ideas, let me know in the comments. Do you ever get sent any ladies undergarments? No. Laurie Lemming says, what are your best tips for tricking your friends into buying RC cars to bash with you? Just give them your controller and let them have a go. I did that with Claire and Ian, and then they bought an X-Max. I let Vinny have a go on Infraction, and now he wants an Infraction. Goodinor, sorry, probably butchered your name, says, if you could have only 5 RC cars, what would you go for? So that's got to be the X-Max, Infraction, TRX4, Creighton 6S with all the upgrades, and my favourite, the Mighty Raminator. Tony says, what is your favourite RC vehicle? Got to be the Raminator. SharkFat78 says, what's your first RC vehicle? So my first ever RC car was this Nico Turbo Panther. My first hobby grade RC car was this Tamiya Manta Ray, which is actually one of these. This one's a re-release that I built recently. This one here's the original one that I had. It looked like that when I got it, but then I kind of modified it when I was 10 years old, and this is what it looks like now. YR Con says, how do you store your batteries? Sorry, probably butchered your name again. So this is a metal steel toolbox that I built on my first ever welding project. So that is where I keep all of my lipos. It's away from anything flammable. There's nothing flammable around them, so I know if one of them goes off, probably the whole lot's going to go off. So it's probably not actually ideal, but it's about as ideal as I can get for being in here. Nomsicle says, seems to be into modifying cars. What one-to-one cars have you modified? So this is a Ford Mondeo that we modified for banger racing. Here's another one. Here's a Defender 90 that I had round about 10 years ago. Here's a 3-door Cosworth that I had. This was tuned to round about 400 horsepower. Here's a Turbo Mini that I built from scratch, brand new body, front mount intercooler, full race spec roll cage, cell tank. There's the engine, and it had a 6-speed jackknife gearbox, and we got it up to 200 horsepower on Peter Baldwin's rolling road. Here's the underneath of it. Everything was brand new. The subframes, the body shell, all the panels, all the interior, everything. The only thing that I kept off of an old car, I think, was the wiring loom and the steering column. The rest of it brand new. Here's a picture of building it over in my old workshop. And here's one of my first cars. It's a Mark II Ford Fiesta, and Stempy thought it'd be a good idea to paint it for me. Here's another Defender 90 that I had back in the day. This one had 35-inch Simex on there. And at the moment, I'm doing a few bits and bobs to this Defender 110. So next mod's going to be a roll cage and a suspension kit. How much do you think you've spent on RCs over the years? Absolutely no idea, dude. I've completely lost count and I've never even kept track of it. What would be your number one tip for someone new to the hobby? Just go and hang out with a few people that are into RC, have a little see how they operate, maybe have a little go, have a little chat with people, and then just get whichever one you think looks like it's going to be the most fun. Traxxas or Armour? Overall, for me personally, I kind of ignore what the brand is of any RC car, and I kind of look at each RC car individually. So for example, when it comes to the bigger electric stuff, then my favourite would be the X-Max. When it comes to the speed cars, I think I prefer the Armours. Crawlers, obviously Traxxas. Armour doesn't make any. Short course, I would say the UDR for scale and for cool looks and for the ways the suspension moves when you go off-road, or the Armour Mojave for if you want to bash it. Favourite RC that's not Traxxas or Armour? And that, you guessed it, would have to be the Raminator. Tony says, what are the best tools, hand tools, you own for working on RCs? And that has got to be these DeWalt Ugga Duggers. Because you can put these power tool tips in there, it just makes it so much easier for undoing screws and stuff. And people say, why is it called an Ugga Dugger? It's because of the noise it makes. How do you film and control your RC cars at the same time? I'm assuming some sort of mount on your transmitter. So almost all of my videos are shot using my Samsung Galaxy S9 smartphone, and then I complement some of the footage with a GoPro Hero 7. And then I've got this selfie stick end that I've hot glued onto all of my controllers, look. And then you can drive and film at the same time. Other times I hold the controller in one hand and then hold the GoPro on the end of a selfie stick in the other hand. And it's actually easier to film it yourself than it is to get somebody else to film it for you, because when you do it yourself, you already know when you accelerate which way to move the camera. You know when you're going to steer to move the camera. If you drive and somebody else films, then it's a lot more difficult to keep track of the car. I've tried all the big, proper dedicated, big DSLR cameras with all the big microphones on there and everything. And yes, you get a better picture quality, you get better audio, but for the most part, most viewers don't even notice because they just watch the footage back on their smartphone. And having this great big contraption here on you when you're trying to film, it just makes it a lot more awkward. And I've personally got much better results just filming with my phone. What was your first experience with RC that ultimately got you into the hobby? So I've always liked the look of them. I always used to look through shop windows and see them, and I really wanted one. My granddad bought me that Nico, so that got me into the world of RC. And then when I started school, my buddy at school, Trevor Shin, he had a Tamiya Manta Ray, and Stempy had a Tamiya Grasshopper. And we always used to argue, what's better, Nico or Tamiya? I always used to say that Nikos were better, and the other two always used to say that Tamiyas were better. And then I went round their house, had a little play with their Tamiyas, and then I realised hobby grade RC cars are actually much better. So when I first saw my buddy Trevor's Manta Ray and he let me have a go of it, when I first saw it, I was just blown away. I was like, what? How is something so cool even possible? I was like 9 or 10 years old. Like suspension on it and everything compared to the Nico. It was just light years ahead. And I'll tell you what, guys, I saved up and saved up and saved up. It took me like 2 years of helping around the house and doing ironing and washing up for my mum and dad and collecting all my birthday money and everything. And eventually I saved up enough pennies and I got my very own Manta Ray. And the excitement that I had getting that RC car, I don't think any other sort of materialistic thing has ever got me so excited. What do your family and friends think of your RC obsession? They think that I'm just a great big man-child. When was the turning point when you started to realise you were a big hit on YouTube? I don't really consider myself a big hit, really. I always thought when I first started that if you hit 1 million subscribers, you're a big YouTuber. But now we're getting fairly close to that number. It kind of feels like you need more like maybe 10 million subscribers before you hit it big. I don't know, I've never really thought about it really, to be honest. Did you plan to become a full-time YouTuber, or did it just come together naturally? So I started off YouTubing just for a bit of fun really, to start off with. And I never really thought of making it a full-time job. At the time, I was like an eBay seller, full-time selling on eBay. And I was doing the RC and the YouTubing just for a bit of fun. But then fast forward round about, I can't remember the exact time frame, but probably around about 6 months in, I made about £400 one month, which was around about $500. And I thought, when I looked at it, I thought, wow, I wonder what could come off of this if I just did it like full time. I did it full time for a little while, 24/7, so 12 to 16 hours a day, every single day, not a day off. I mean, even looking now, my last day off was, I think Christmas Day was the last day off. And I've just been giving my YouTube channel like full-time attention pretty much ever since, probably for the past 3 years now. And the only reason I could really do that is because I was fortunate enough to have a successful eBay store. So I could literally spend 2 hours a day doing eBay, and then I could spend the rest of the time on my YouTube channel buying RC cars, modifying RC cars, making videos, filming, all that kind of stuff. And if I would have had a full-time job, I think it would have been pretty much impossible. When you've bought your new property, do you plan to organise your own bash fests there? I would, but one thing that's holding me back and stopping me from doing it is that I want to keep my location and my address private. I don't really want the world knowing where I live and all that stuff. So for that reason, I can't, even though I'd really love to. But maybe one day I can get a different plot of land somewhere completely different, and possibly, I don't know, we'll see. What's your biggest gripe with the current RC industry? Not many really. I mean, I love the hobby, I love everything about it, and if there's one thing that I could change, it's probably when people take it way too seriously and they argue and they fight and they're negative about the hobby, or they're overly too serious about the hobby. I think if I could change one thing about the hobby, it would be that most people are already really light-hearted about it and have a lot of fun with it. But if I could change one thing, I would have it so that more people would be more light-hearted and would just realise that the best way of doing it is whichever way puts the biggest smile on your face, and that's different for everybody. You know, for me it might be an X-Max, for the next person it might be his Armour Creighton. And I think if everybody realised that everybody can have a different toy and everybody can still have fun and everybody can just have fun as a community, that to me would make the hobby even more perfect. What is a cool fact that we probably don't know? I absolutely hate and cannot stand nose hairs, so I pull them out with these tweezers here. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Just expand really in what I'm already doing. So hopefully when we get the new property, there's going to be enough space there to build multiple different RC tracks. I want to have my own skate park, my own sort of BMX track, but have it kind of orientated towards RC cars. Also, I want to get more into the full-size cars again. I mean, my main hobby is actually full-size cars, and it has been for many years. And it's only really been recently that I focused mainly on RC. But when I get my new property, I definitely want to get a bigger shop there, somewhere where I can start doing some more full-size projects. I've got many projects in mind, and I'd love to share some of those projects on my YouTube channel. I mean, this YouTube channel was never really supposed to be dedicated to RCs. It was supposed to be just me sharing whatever hobbies and interests I have at the time, and I've got many different hobbies and interests. So yeah, off-roaders, fast cars, monster trucks, RC helicopters, engines. Basically, if it's got 4 wheels and an engine, I absolutely love it, and I just want to share more of that on this channel, and hopefully just keep scaling it up and up and up and up. Also, I want to break the world speed record, which at the moment for an RC car is 202 miles an hour, so I'm going to try and get this one here to go over that speed. Probably going to be many fails along the way, but I don't really like calling them fails. I'll just call it collecting data. I call it learning. When stuff goes wrong, you learn from it, you modify it, you adapt, you try it again. And for me, that is what the hobby is all about. Trying, experiment, learning, and having fun with your friends. So make sure you subscribe and smash the bell so you don't miss it.